Thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Northeast. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, we're continuing to watch a winter storm begin to take shape across the southern plains, stretching into the mid-Mississippi Valley. That will eventually bring some wintry weather impacts to northern portions of the Northeast region as we head into the end of the week. So look at the radar right now, you can see the satellite picture, you can see the alignment within the jet stream, a big trough in the west, the ridge in the east, the very strong jet stream winds racing across parts of the central and southern U.S., and again, that drawing a lot of moisture northward from the Gulf of Mexico. So on this Tuesday morning, a lot of rain falling now across parts of the south, across the southeast, along and south of the Ohio River Valley. And again, that's going to continue to be the case over the next 24 to 48 hours before the final, the back end of this storm system still across the southern plains, and that will eventually lift northward as we head through the day on Wednesday. Now, as we look at the temperature gradient, again, overlapping the very strong jet stream winds right across this region. So temperatures in the 60s on the south side of that boundary, all the way down to the 20s and 30s just across that same, across that frontal boundary, across the central plains into the Midwest. There's the jet stream this morning. So again, that temperature gradient right here, where you find the core of the very strongest jet stream winds on the downstream side of that trough. As we look at the high-resolution NAM model, this will help us time out the precipitation. Again, it struggles to make its way into the region until we get to the late Wednesday into Thursday timeframe. As we head through the day today, certainly possible we'll see some light precipitation across the area, some light flurries possible across Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont, some light rain showers possible across primarily portions of Pennsylvania as we head through the afternoon and evening hours. Perhaps on the north side there, a little bit of sleet or freezing rain mixing in at times. Rain will begin to wane as we head into the overnight hours before another round, the final round, begins to push in here during the later part of the day on Wednesday. So much of Wednesday likely dry. Again, perhaps some very light freezing drizzle across parts of Pennsylvania, but otherwise looking dry across the Northeast region for the day on Wednesday. As we head into Wednesday evening, into Wednesday overnight, precipitation on the backside. Now here is our final area of low pressure, the backside of that storm system beginning to swing into the region. Some freezing rain possible, rain across Pennsylvania as we head into the early part of the overnight. By the time we get to midnight, we should be looking about like this with snow lifting into portions of New York, that freezing rain potential across southern New York, getting into, again, a wintry mix across Pennsylvania and New Jersey. The light rain showers possible south of that. As we get to sunrise on Thursday morning, as the sun begins to come up, snow falling across northern portions of the region here, northern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, with freezing rain, a wintry mix possible across New York, Massachusetts, getting into, again, the metro area. So it's a potential that Thursday morning's commute could be quite treacherous. I think that's going to be the most problematic time frame, or those early morning hours on Thursday. As we head into Thursday afternoon and beyond, the storm system continues to lift off to the north and bringing with it, even if it is only subtly, but bringing warmer temperatures northward. And so that's going to continue to transition things back to all rain across Pennsylvania, getting into New Jersey, into the New York, Long Island area, and then the freezing precipitation going to be shoved off to the north. So transitioning to a wintry mix across northern New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and then parts of Maine as we head into the midday hours on Thursday before precipitation begins to taper off, seeing that dry slot begin to punch in here Thursday afternoon as well. Total liquid precipitation flirting between a half an inch and an inch across much of the Northeast region, where you can get into the red shading here across southern portions of Pennsylvania, getting into New Jersey, Long Island, and then Connecticut, Rhode Island, parts of southern and eastern Massachusetts. That's where we could be talking about maybe 2 to 3 inches of precipitation. The snow, accumulating snow, we're looking at the probability from the European and GFS ensemble models of over 3 inches of snow falling. Where you see the red shading, that's where you're getting north of 90% probability. Again, you see that highest probability for accumulating snow across the northern half of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine on both models. So we look at the National Digital Forecast Database. We're looking at the potential where you see the blue shading here, anywhere from maybe 2 up to 6 inches of snow on the high side. Again, across northern portions of the Northeast. Again, if you want accumulating snow, you're heading up towards at least the Pennsylvania-New York border, if not a little bit further off to the north. Again, the northern half of New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine, with that potential for several inches of accumulating snow, 2 to 6 on the table. Far northern Maine, going to be the winner there. That's where it could be anywhere from 6 to 8 inches of snow, where the precipitation, again, just simply falls as snow for a longer time. As this system makes its way through, we'll be bringing that warmer air northward, and so it will be a slow south to north transition from that snow to a wintry mix, perhaps all the way back over to all rain if you're across further southern areas here across Pennsylvania, getting east from there. The potential for some freezing rain, not looking like crippling ice accumulations, but certainly possible. Some areas get north of a tenth of an inch up to maybe a quarter of an inch of ice accumulation. I think the best chance for that is going to be across parts of central Pennsylvania, getting back into eastern Ohio. The good news is the winds will be strongest on the north side of this storm system, which really avoids the northeast region. We'll see winds at times gusting from anywhere from 10 to 20 miles per hour, but it looks like strong winds will not accompany the brunt of this storm system, so that will at least ease things somewhat as we head into. Again, I mentioned the Thursday morning time frame being the worst part of this, with the potential for some mixed precipitation and maybe some snow across the northern half of the area. As we kind of focus in on this region where that freezing precipitation will be most likely, looking at winds only 5 to 10 miles per hour, and then where we see snow potentially falling on the north side, again, that's where winds could potentially gust anywhere from 15 to 25 miles per hour at times. Now, the jet stream right now, trough west, ridge east. As we head into the weekend, we go back to this pattern here. Let me go ahead and we'll jump back. We'll step through time. Two things I want to show you. That is not the map that I want. There we go. So again, trough west, ridge east as we get started. As we head into the weekend, early next week, we'll flip back to a pattern that features split flow coming out of the northwest and then meeting back up with the subtropical jet before we transition to a pattern by the time we get to early next week, Monday and Tuesday, potentially shifting back to a trough in the west with a ridge in the east. And that means the potential for the redevelopment of storm systems across the southern plains, eventually to move into parts of the northeast region. Big question marks there, no certainty. Just letting you know that is where the pattern is likely headed into next week. As we look at the radar or the precipitation type forecast from the European model, quickly trafficking through the next couple of days, we've already covered this, watching the back wave begin to lift into the region. The worst of it moving through Thursday morning, with precipitation lingering through much of the day on Thursday. Possible we could see some accumulating snow on the backside even as we get into Friday night across the northeast region, with then some lake effect snow possible as we head into parts of Saturday morning. We'll then watch for maybe a storm system just to scoot off to the south here as we head through the weekend before a period of quieter weather as we head through the back half of the weekend into Monday and Tuesday of next week. We'll start to then watch the southern plains for clues as far as where we're headed into the mid to late part of next week. So as we look at the total precipitation forecast, this now through the entire week, so looking all the way to next Tuesday, not much difference when you compare this to the one I showed you before that takes it all the way through Friday. Again, precipitation heaviest across the south, with winter weather precipitation more likely as you head off toward the north. Temperature forecast over the next week. Again, cold air tries to come in on the backside. It does, but it doesn't linger. It just kind of hovers over the area for a couple of days there. Again, as the jet stream continues to transition back to a pattern that favors warmer than average temperatures across the eastern half of the country. So it is February. We'll see colder days, but it does look like the warmer days, at least warmer than average, will outnumber the cooler days as we head forward. Quick look at your high temperatures for the next few days before we wrap this up. We'll bring it back to today, looking at those highs, look at the sharp temperature gradient across the region. Just about everyone above freezing today, and that will continue with a brief interruption on Wednesday, but continue into the late part of the week as the storm system swings through the area. Thursday, high temperatures back in the 40s and 50s for many of us. As we head through the day on Friday, colder air trying to come in on the backside of that storm system, still above freezing across southern portions of the northeast region, even as we head into the later part of the weekend. Overnight lows over the next several days. Here are your morning lows tomorrow morning, getting into Thursday morning, Friday morning, Saturday morning. That's when we start to see that colder air pushing in, but if I take this out, you'll start to see the warmer air begin to rebound as we head into the early and middle part of next week.